Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 2, Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 98 126 The Golden Spring and Immortal Soil. 98th of Volume 2. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Whoosh. Activating his heavenly eye, Weiyi began a meticulous search. He soon noticed a man-sized, pale golden stone about 10 meters away that seemed particularly unusual. He drew his iron book and swung it down. Boom. The stone shattered. However, there was nothing inside. Weiyi looked disappointed. Without becoming a great spiritual master, my heavenly eye remains in its nascent stage. It can only provide a rough estimate, not a guaranteed hit every time. There were many such pale golden stones beneath the waterfall. Weiyi hacked at 70 or 80 of them in succession, finding only 3 drops of liquid within a single stone. Not even enough for a single sip. Impossible. Even if my heavenly eye only catches a glimpse, it should at least point me in the right direction. So many stones here with this unique aura. It's definitely not normal. Why would there be so few drops? Weiyi paused to rest, glancing up at the darker golden cliff face beside the waterfall, several dozen meters above the ground. An idea struck him. He stepped onto a protruding section of the cliff and leapt upward. Boom. The iron book slammed down, knocking off a large chunk of the cliff face that tumbled down the cliff. Then came a second strike, a third. The deeper Weiyi smashed, the more golden radiance spilled from the depths of the cliff face. When he touched it with his fingertip grew moist. As if the spring liquid was seeping out. Weiyi's heart pounded like thunder. He quickly retrieved his spiritual artifact treasure bottle, no longer daring to rely on the iron book's brute force. Instead, he focused his spiritual power at his fingertip, piercing through the thin layer of stone. Golden spring water gushed forth, accompanied by a refreshing fragrance. The entire area where he stood was enveloped in a golden radiant glow. Perfect. This came without any effort. There's at least 1/10 of a cubic meter here, I'll never use it all, never. 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 1,000 liters. Even 100 liters would be more than enough for refining meridian veins, let alone tempering bones. The golden spring he had initially seized, which had helped him forge 2 golden meridian vein, had been barely 1/10 of a liter. This alone makes the trip worthwhile. Weiyi took out another iron bottle, filled it to the brim, and immediately stored the treasure bottle in his blood mud space. If Xuanhuan saw it, wouldn't he demand an equal share again? He continued searching, smashing the entire cliff face to pieces, but found nothing more. Back at the foot of the cliff, Weiyi swallowed the golden spring water to refine his meridian veins. Tianche and Xuanhuan returned first, their eyes widening at the sight of the shattered, pale golden cliff face. Their gazes then turned to Weiyi, who was sitting cross-legged nearby. Xuanhuan's expression turned displeased. Sima Qin, the Xuanhu clan invited you here to help us find and excavate immortal soil. Did you search for it? Weiyi, having just forged 7 golden meridian veins, was in high spirits. He immediately rose to his feet and replied cheerfully, I did. I searched this entire cliff face, but found nothing. What about you two? Tianche, known for his gentle nature, shrugged, same here. We came up empty-handed. Immortal soil is just too difficult to find. I didn't find any immortal soil, but I did find half a bottle of golden spring. My luck was a bit better than yours. Come on, take some. Don't be shy, Weiyi said warmly and generously. Half a bottle. Really? Tianche took the iron bottle, opened it, and was astonished. He didn't suspect Weiyi was holding back anything, as finding even half a bottle of golden spring was already a significant achievement, given its rarity. Xuanhuan's displeasure vanished, replaced by a hint of embarrassment. No matter how she looked at it, Sima Qin was truly forthright and exceptionally generous. Golden spring was a valuable treasure, so they didn't hesitate to take some. Of course, as a married couple, they still had some pride to maintain, so they only took about 1/5 of the bottle. However, their opinion of Weiyi improved dramatically, and the previous distance and coldness between them melted away. Xuanhuan expressed her desire to recruit Weiyi, smiling warmly. We've heard of your combat prowess in the surging spring realm, brother Sima. If the rumors are true, why would you remain in the precarious Zhu tribe? The Xuanhu clan would be a far better choice. Weiyi waved his hand with a smile. Tianche added, if brother Sima is concerned about jealousy from some within the Xuanhu clan, you could do as I did and marry into the family. Haha, then we'd all be family. Boom. A massive explosion echoed from deep within the dense forest, shaking the immortal mist clouds. Immediately afterward, Xuanhuan's sharp, piercing whistle cut through the air from that direction. The 3 of them rose abruptly, exchanged glances, and activated their movement techniques to rush toward the sound. Swish. Swish. Weiyi deliberately lagged behind Tianche and Xuanhuan by several meters. As they drew closer to the battle, they encountered a swarm of bone-winged birds in the towering ancient forest, where trees soared to over 100 meters. The birds flew in dense formations, their shrill cries filling the air. Each bone-winged bird was about 3 feet long, with a flesh and blood demonic beast body, bone wings ablaze with azure flames, and a sharp, sword-like beak. Tian Che watched the diving swarm of bone-winged birds and the swirling demonic chi clouds. It's the demonic beast horde from Heavenly Cliff Tianyat Ridge. Leave them to me. You two hurry and find senior brother Baiming. He's definitely in trouble. Li Weiyi let out a long whistle and hurled the iron book in his hand. Swish swish. 35 iron pages spun out, forming 35 miniature vortexes that sent the bone-winged birds intercepting Tian Che and Xuanhuan Lanlan plummeting like rain. What a powerful spiritual artifact, Tian Che marveled. Tian Che and Xuanhuan Lanlan quickly rushed toward the most intense battle. After cutting through the bird swarm, Li Weiyi was joined by Shang Jikai. Together, they calmly advanced to the center of the conflict. Xuanhuan Baiming, wielding the Heavenflame blade, was locked in a fierce duel with a demon clan expert also clad in fallen spirit skin. Both wielded high-grade spiritual artifacts, reducing the forest to rubble and felling countless ancient trees. At the mouth of a valley, Tian Che and Xuanhuan Lanlan were locked in a fierce battle against 5 Seas Realm demon cultivators. As pure immortal physiques, their teamwork was flawless, and their combined strength was also very formidable. They were only slightly outmatched. Li Weiyi narrowed his eyes, spotting the telltale immortal mist clouds deep within the distant forest valley. He suspected the conflict was over immortal soil. Let's go help them. Heavenly Cliff Ridge is taking advantage of their numbers. They're being too arrogant. Shang Ji raised his blade and charged toward the valley. Li Weiyi followed closely behind, deliberately shouting, "Brother Tian, I'm here to help. These demon cultivators dare to steal the immortal soil we found. They're showing no respect for the Xuanhuan clan. We must teach them a lesson." Upon reaching the scene, Li Weiyi wielded his iron book and sent an ape demon, at the first level of the 5 Seas realm, flying backward. He held back his strength, only injuring the ape demon without killing it outright. He didn't wanted to reveal too much of his true power. The ape demon seethed with resentment. You Xuanhuan clan are nothing but barbaric bullies. We found this immortal soil in the valley first, yet you twist the truth and accuse us. Humans are truly shameless. Li Weiyi was taken aback. He glanced at the figure wielding the Heavenflame blade in the distance. So Xuanhuan Baiming was trying to seize immortal soil from Heavenly Cliff Ridge. Perfect. This was the perfect opportunity to fan the flames and drag the Xuanhuan clan into the mess. Li Weiyi no longer held back. He swung his iron book, cleaving the ape demon's head in two, and declared coldly, "In the southern territory, the Xuanhuan clan's word is law." Then, he turned his blade toward a black-furred dog demon at the 5 Seas realm. After a few exchanges, he lopped off its head. We've claimed this immortal soil in the valley. If you don't retreat immediately, we'll slaughter every last one of you. The fox demon cultivator who had been facing Xuanhuan Baiming was consumed by fury upon witnessing 2 5 Seas realm cultivators from their side being slain in quick succession. Gritting his teeth, he snarled, "Retreat. Let's retreat for now." The demon cultivators in the forest retreated like a receding tide. Xuanhuan Baiming, this matter won't end here. We'll leave the immortal soil with you for now, the fox demon cultivator's icy voice echoed from deep within the dense forest, dripping with malice. Empty threats, Xuanhuan Baiming sneered, unfazed. He sheathed his blade and turned toward the valley. Li Weiyi knew he had been too obvious and was pondering how to appease Xuanhuan Baiming's wrath. But instead, he heard Xuanhuan Baiming's praise, "Well done. That's how you should uphold the Xuanhuan clan's prestige. Those demon cultivators dare claim to stand on equal footing with the 10,000 sects in the southern territory, utter insolence. Your strength is truly formidable, at your level, you're virtually unmatched." Uncertain whether Xuanhuan Baiming had seen through his deception, Li Weiyi hesitated for a moment before offering his prepared explanation. "I saw Brother Tian and his wife surrounded and couldn't contain my anger. I acted impulsively." "No problem," Xuanhuan Baiming replied dismissively. Following the veins of the immortal mist clouds, Xuanhuan Baiming entered the valley. Shang Ji secretly gave Li Weiyi a thumbs up, transmitting through spiritual qi. These sect disciples care most about the actual benefits they receive. Second comes face. Your outburst might have been exactly what he wanted to say. Xuanhuan Baiming is an incredibly arrogant man. In his eyes, he's the #1 person in the 33 Li Mountain. For some reason, Li Weiyi felt uneasy. Ever since entering the mountain, Xuanhuan Baiming's gaze had been fixed on him and Shang Ji as if they were already dead. Deep in the valley, the 3 members of the Xuanhuan clan were already excavating the spiritual soil. The ground was covered in a square meter of soil in 3 colors, green, black, and yellow. Tian Che placed a boundary pouch on the ground and began filling it with the excavated soil. Boundary pouches were also crafted from the lung tissue of martial mystic cultivators, but they couldn't hold living beings, making them slightly easier to create. When they had dug half a foot deep in the center, Xuanhuan Beiming immediately ordered Tian Che to stop. He walked over himself and carefully peeled back the layers of soil. A four-colored radiant glow burst forth, revealing a four-colored mud that was both crystalline and sticky like clay. Nearly a pound. Excellent. Xuanhuan Beiming was ecstatic. He didn't miss a single grain of immortal soil, using his spiritual qi to gather it all and store it in another boundary pouch. Then he said, "You two, hurry and help. Dig up all the spiritual soil. This stuff can make medicinal herbs grow 10 times faster." After Weiyi and Shangji joined in, they completely excavated several hundred pounds of spiritual soil in less than half an hour. The 5 of them hurried toward the valley entrance. Weiyi sniffed the air, sensing a subtle change. He immediately stopped, held his breath, and focused his spiritual power into his eyes. Suddenly, he saw countless nearly invisible gray particles floating in the air. He turned back toward the depths of the valley, but there were no such gray particles there. In other words, they had just drifted in from the valley entrance. Something's wrong. There's something in the air, gray, liquid particles. Weiyi warned the others. The 4 of them immediately channeled their spiritual power to observe. Xuanhuan Beiming's expression changed drastically. It's the earth spirit gray mist from Guanshan Coffin Mountain. Hold your breath quickly. The voice of the fox demon powerhouse from Heavenly Cliff Ridge echoed from the valley entrance. Too late. Xuanhuan Beiming, you will have to pay the price for your arrogance. 33 Li Mountain knows nothing of the Xuanhuan clan's influence, only the law of the jungle. Another voice echoed from above the valley, its words reverberating endlessly. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 99, 127, The Death of Shangji. 99th of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. It is said that once the earth spirit gray mist enters your body, it immediately merges with your blood, causing your body to rapidly stiffen until you can't move. Xuanhuan Lanlan said, holding her breath and asking in terror, Brother Che, you're so knowledgeable, is this true? The 5 of them quickly retreated to an area of the valley free of the earth spirit gray mist. Tian Che's expression was grim. Not only that, but if you inhale too much, your flesh will rot rapidly. Don't scare yourself. We only inhaled a tiny amount. Quickly circulate your spiritual power to refine it. Reaching a flat area within the valley, Xuanhuan Beiming planted the azure yin banner in the ground and exhaled spiritual qi to activate it. Whoosh! The yin banner fluttered, rapidly rising and expanding, emitting a layer of azure light that enveloped the surrounding dozen meters. Dozens of armored dead spirits materialized within the light, each one imposing and majestic, wielding swords to guard the 4 directions. With Xuanhuan Beiming's cultivation, this was the limit to which he could activate this high-grade spiritual artifact. He turned to Shangji and commanded, you activate the yin banner. Me. Shangji knew the situation was dire. Refining the earth spirit gray mist within his body was his top priority. Your strength is the weakest, so of course, it's your job. Don't worry, I won't abandon you. Once I refine the earth spirit gray mist and drive off these arrogant fools, I'll personally come and save you. The sound of rushing wind grew louder in Xuanhuan Beiming's ears. His impatience boiled over, and he barked, hurry up. Don't force me to split you in 2 right now. Xuanhuan Beiming had decided from the moment he entered the mountains that he would kill Weiyi and Shangji after using them, seizing their merits and gains. In his current desperation, he had inadvertently voiced his true intentions. Facing the heaven flame blade hovering above his head, Shangji had no choice but to walk beneath the azure yin banner and channel his spiritual qi into it with both hands. Even as the Shou tribe's favored son, accustomed to the praise and admiration of countless tribesmen, he was forced to swallow his pride. If he possessed the cultivation of the 2nd stage of the 5 Seas realm, why would he endure such humiliation? Xuanhuan Beiming sat cross-legged, already feeling a slight numbness in his skin. The earth spirit gray mist was far more terrifying than he had anticipated, and his mood instantly turned grave. Weiyi glanced at Xuanhuan Beiming, who was enveloped in spiritual qi, and felt a surge of danger. He secretly rejoiced that he had revealed some of his strength earlier, otherwise, he would surely have been dragged into activating the yin banner as well. Whoosh! The fox demon, encased in fallen spirit skin, charged into the valley. It glared at the 5 figures within the yin banner, its pupils turning crimson. With a cold snort, it struck decisively, giving its opponents no time to refine the earth spirit gray mist. The white pendant around its neck, activated by spiritual qi, emitted a blinding radiance. With a punch, thunderous roars echoed through the valley as the blow slammed into the azure light curtain emanating from the yin banner. Boom! Within the curtain, 15 dead spirits clad in armor instantly converged, combining their strength to unleash a single, devastating sword strike that blocked the fox demon's earth-shattering punch. On the steep cliffs surrounding the valley, numerous rocks tumbled down from the impact. The azure light curtain rippled with shockwaves, yet remained calm within. Zuoqiu Beiming, simultaneously refining the earth spirit gray mist, sneered, "This azure yin banner of mine is a high-grade spiritual artifact. How could a mere demon like you break through it?" Li Weiyi's Nightwalker's garment, though also a high-grade spiritual artifact, offered far less defensive power than the azure yin banner. It prioritized stealth and speed, making it ideal for assassination, where its true strength lay. Swish. Swish. More figures entered the valley. Besides 3 5 Seas realm demon cultivators, there was also a tall figure in fallen spirit skin, wielding a white yin banner and wearing a war blade at his waist. His aura was formidable, his gaze piercing like a torch. The spiritual chi radiating from his body filled the valley, marking him as a top-tier figure in the second stage of the 5 Seas realm. Li Weiyi summoned the immortal haze within his divine gate, rapidly refining the earth spirit gray mist within his body. The numbness in his skin and flesh vanished. He looked beyond the light curtain and recognized the figure holding a white yin banner, shrouded in fallen spirit skin. "Shui Qi, you have dared to make the Sui sect and the Zuoqiu sect enemies. Have you considered the consequences?" Beneath the fallen spirit skin, Shui Qi's tone remained calm. He addressed the fox demon powerhouse of Heavenly Cliff Ridge, "Kill them all. Leave no survivors." The Zuoqiu sect sent these 3 pure immortal physiques into 33 Li Mountain with the intention of testing them. If they all die, it would be perfectly reasonable. The fox demon powerhouse poured all his strength into the high-grade spiritual artifact pendant around his neck, causing his power fluctuations to intensify. The third figure, also wrapped in fallen spirit skin, unfurled feathered wings and soared above the valley. 4 meters long, his voice echoed through the valley as he laughed, "The flesh of pure immortal physiques is incredibly delicious. This time, it seems I can feast to my heart's content." He was the leader of Coffin Mountain, known by the Dharma name, Di Ran. An aberrant humanoid who had consumed the blood of 2 ancient immortal giant beasts, he possessed traits of both beasts, feathered wings on his back and arms covered in fiery scales. Boom. Rumble. Attacks rained down from all directions, shattering the armored dead spirits on the azure light curtain. Senior brother Bai Ming, this isn't good. Heavenly Cliff Ridge has allied with multiple forces. If they dare to attack you on 33 Li Mountain today, who knows what they might do tomorrow. They might even attack Chu Prefecture. After saying this, Li Weiyi stood up, leaving Zuoqiu sect's 3 members a resolute back. "No matter what, someone must survive. You continue refining the earth spirit gray mist. I'll go help Shangji activate the yin banner." He dared not use immortal haze in front of Zuoqiu Beiming, fearing jealousy and a fatal calamity. Therefore, he didn't dare refine the earth spirit gray mist for them. Zuoqiu Lanlin and Tian Che opened their eyes in turn, gazing at Li Weiyi as he activated the yin banner. Tears welled up in their eyes, and any lingering doubts about his previous actions vanished. This Sima Qin. He's truly a man of unparalleled loyalty. As Li Weiyi released his spiritual qi into the yin banner, more armored dead spirits flew out. "We can't wait any longer. Zuoqiu Beiming may be a fool, but his martial Dao talent and combat prowess are exceptional. We can't let him fully refine the earth spirit gray mist." Shui Qi retreated several paces and pulled out a 3-inch square jade box from his sleeve. Unsealing the surface, the jade box opened, releasing a surge of purple mist and crackling thunder and lightning. He hesitated to use this immensely powerful treasure unless absolutely necessary. Li Weiyi wanted to drag the Zuoqiu sect into the fray, forcing them to provide greater support to help the Zhu Li clan weather the impending crisis of annihilation. Shui Qi, too, sought to bind Heavenly Cliff Ridge, Coffin Mountain, and other factions firmly to the Sui sect's war chariot. From Zuoqiu Ting's actions, the Sui sect saw the Zuoqiu sect's true intentions. Clearly, the Zuoqiu sect still aimed to support the Zhu Li clan as the rulers of Li province. Therefore, the Sui sect had no choice but to deepen its ties with Heavenly Cliff Ridge, Coffin Mountain, and other factions. Only then could they hope to crush the Zhu Li clan and force the Zuoqiu sect to reconsider its allegiances. Faced with the overwhelming tide of events and the stakes of power and profit, even the ancient myriad sects would eventually have to yield. Thus, when Heavenly Cliff Ridge moved against Zuoqiu Beiming, Shui Qi acted with utmost zeal. He not only pledged to help them reclaim the immortal soil but also vowed to kill every member of the Zuoqiu sect. As a junior disciple, this was the extent of his influence. Perhaps his impact on the grand scheme of things was as insignificant as a straw, yet it might still prove to be the final straw that swayed the decision of the higher echelons. The wind rises from the tip of a green duckweed leaf, and waves form from the slightest rift. The Sui sect's current power was forged by generations of such green duckweed ripples who had worked tirelessly together. Shui Qi's ultimate goal was to surpass First Commander Yao Qian and even Sect Master Yang Shenzheng. Damn, it's Thunder Law Profound Ice. Li Weiyi recognized the object in Shui Qi's hand. His expression changed drastically as he immediately activated all 10 springs within him, triggering the defensive spiritual artifacts on his body. Boom. Shui Qi unleashed the Thunder Law Profound Ice from the jade box. The ice crystals shattered, releasing streaks of bright purple lightning. Some bolts of lightning shot dozens of meters, striking the mountainside, splitting rocks and setting trees ablaze. The armored dead spirits exploded one after another, and the azure light veil emitted by the yin banner was torn open, creating a massive hole several meters wide. Crack. Thump. Li Weiyi and Shangji were both struck by the lightning and sent flying away. The fox demon expert and Shui Qi, with their profound law techniques and uncanny speed, were the first to charge into the area shrouded by the light veil, attacking Zuoqiu Beiming, who sat cross-legged in meditation. Li Weiyi quickly stood up, rubbing his chest and checking his body. He was unharmed. Shangji slowly sat up, the blood-red runes on his talisman robe flashing, having blocked the fatal blow. However, his flesh had stiffened, and his limbs were difficult to move. The strange power of the earth spirit gray mist had already entered his heart. Li Weiyi wasn't one to stand idly by. He was about to pull Shangji to his feet and escape together. Swish. Swish. Countless metal feathers rained down from above, piercing Shangji's body into a bloody sieve. Shattering the metal feathers, Li Weiyi rushed to Shangji's side and lifted him up. He had only one breath left, his eyes bulging as he clutched Li Weiyi's sleeve tightly. Hurry. Escape. Down the mountain. Zuoqiu Beiming. Untrustworthy. Li Weiyi's heart was heavy. Though their friendship wasn't deep, he had grown fond of Shangji. As a Nine Springs Supreme, he should have had a bright future, yet he had perished in an instant. Truly, life was unpredictable. Li Weiyi reached for Shangji's money pouch. He might as well take it now that Shangji wouldn't need it anymore. Let's get out of here. The valley entrance is surely blocked by a large group of martial mystic cultivators. We can't go that way. We'll escape by climbing the cliff face on the valley's left side. Zuoqiu Beiming's combat prowess was extraordinary. He had single-handedly driven back the combined forces of the fox demon and Shui Qi. Now, he raised his saber and leapt toward the cliff face on the valley's left side, clearing 6 or 7 meters with a single bound. The cliff wasn't particularly steep, and juniper trees grew along its face. A 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator could easily climb it like an ape. Zuoqiu Lanlin and Tian Che released their spiritual qi, activating their movement techniques to quickly follow. The fox demon and Shui Qi completely ignored Li Weiyi, focusing solely on pursuing Zuoqiu Beiming, who was fleeing at the front. They flanked him, closing in from both sides. Li Weiyi looked up at the massive aberrant humanoid figure with metal wings circling overhead. This was the one who killed Shangji, a formidable opponent. The valley entrance is undoubtedly dangerous, but wouldn't the people from Heavenly Cliff Ridge, the Sui sect, and Coffin Mountain know they could escape by climbing the cliff? If they attack from above, with the advantage of terrain, we'll only die faster. Then we'll break through head-on. Li Weiyi made a swift decision. His gaze swept over the 3-5 Seas realm demon race beings closing in on him. Calmly, he lifted Shangji's corpse, securing it to his back, intending to bring it back to the Zhu Li clan for burial. Having accepted payment, he would fulfill his duty and ensure the deceased received proper respect. With one hand holding Shangji's spiritual artifact battle saber and the other grasping the azure yin banner abandoned by the fleeing Zuoqiu Beiming, his eyes sharpened. Those who don't want to die, step aside. With that, Li Weiyi charged toward the valley entrance. Just a first stage 5 Seas realm martial mystic cultivator. How strong can he be? 3 against 1, the advantage is ours. The 3 demon race 5 Seas realm beings exchanged glances, then charged forward from 3 directions, converging to attack Li Weiyi. They knew his prowess and unleashed their full power from the start. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 100-128 Reencountering the Dead Souls of Burial Immortal Town. 100th of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. You really won't listen the advice, Li Weiyi muttered, not even turning around. He unleashed a cloud of blood mist and blood-red scriptures. Just as the 3 demons' massive bodies closed in, he spun into the air, creating a vortex of blood mist centered on himself. The demons' attacks instantly lost their target. Their balance faltered, leaving them utterly defenseless. The blood mist vortex flung them away, sending them crashing to the ground in pieces. Li Weiyi didn't bother wasting time killing them. He landed and sprinted toward the valley entrance at top speed, worried that the 3 top-tier 5 Seas realm second realm experts from Heavenly Cliff Ridge, the Sui sect, and Xuanhuan would finish off Zuoqiu Beiming and pursue him. All 3 were first-rate figures in their respective realms, each wielding powerful spiritual artifacts. Facing any one of them would be a headache. The valley entrance came into view, growing closer with each stride. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Someone's escaped. Shoot!" A whistling, dense barrage of arrows filled the air. Swish, swish. Arrows rained down like a storm, a dense swarm of black dots. There were more dangerous hidden arrows fired from heavy crossbows. The scene resembled a battlefield. Outside the valley, 6-5C's realm martial mystic cultivators from the Sui sect and the San Chen Palace stood in the forest, watching Li Weiyi slash his blade, deflecting arrows aimed at his face. He completely ignored the arrows raining down on his body. Strangely, these arrows couldn't even harm him. What a powerful defensive spiritual artifact battle suit. I want it. Haha, it depends on your ability. Whoever kills him gets the spiritual battle suit. I want that Azure Yin banner. Without hesitation, the three most aggressive 5C's realm martial mystic cultivators charged forward. They were all carefully selected top-tier experts from the first realm. The weakest among them was a deformed humanoid who had broken through the 5C's realm from the 8th spring. The other three followed slowly, not underestimating their opponents. Today's battle was crucial, they had to eliminate everyone without fail. They're much stronger than those three demon cultivators, Li Weiyi observed, his speed unwavering as he faced the three martial mystic cultivators attacking with coordinated battle techniques. He channeled the Azure Yin banner in his hand, treating it like a great spear, and thrust it fiercely at the foremost 5C's realm martial mystic cultivator wielding a shield spiritual artifact. The Yin banner erupted with brilliant azure light, and the dead spirits within roared. The San Chen Palace martial mystic cultivator, who had charged head-on, was stunned by the terrifying pressure emanating from Li Weiyi. He dropped into a bow stance, spewing out a torrent of spiritual chi to activate his shield. A circular light seal, a full 10 feet in diameter, materialized on the shield's surface. Boom! The light seal and the shield's spiritual artifact shattered instantly. The San Chen Palace martial mystic cultivator was pierced through the body by the Yin banner, his flesh exploding into fragments. It was too overwhelming. A martial mystic cultivator of the same realm had been killed in a single exchange. The deformed humanoid martial mystic cultivator who had broken through the 5C's realm from the 8th spring swung a copper-forged heavy mace. The 6,000 Jin iron mace crashed down, aiming directly for Li Weiyi's head. Another, more powerful 5C's realm female martial mystic cultivator, slender and graceful, transformed into a phantom, circling to Li Weiyi's right and below. Her sword, swift as a beam of light, thrust toward his waist. Li Weiyi swung his left hand, his blade clashing against the heavy mace. Sparks flew, and ripples of spiritual chi energy spread outward like waves. The 8 Springs 5C's realm deformed humanoid martial mystic cultivator coughed up blood, sent flying backward by the immense force transmitted through the blade. Incredible strength, Li Weiyi marveled, gazing at his damaged spiritual artifact war blade. He then discarded the weapon. A slight ache throbbed in his waist. He glanced down at the female 5C's realm martial mystic cultivator who had attacked with her sword. Your speed is decent, but your strength is too weak. You couldn't even break through my defenses. The female 5C's realm martial mystic cultivator's face paled in shock. She had never encountered such a bizarre situation before. Her sword strike was far from weak. Even if he were wearing defensive spiritual artifact armor, the piercing force unleashed from the sword's tip should have shattered his ribs and injured his internal organs. Boom! Li Weiyi unleashed his Yin banner, sending her spinning through the air like a scarecrow. Dozens of bones shattered, and she landed in a bloody heap, limp and unable to rise again. The 3-5C's realm martial mystic cultivators following behind hadn't even had a chance to intervene when the three ahead were already defeated. Some were dead, others wounded. They were utterly terrified, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Is this really a martial mystic cultivator at the first realm of the 5C's realm? Even martial mystic cultivators at the second realm of the 5C's realm weren't this terrifying. Boom! Chen Song, standing on a cloud of spiritual chi, burst out of the dense forest and descended from midair, the wind currents beneath his feet scattering in all directions. He was wrapped in fallen spirit skin, resembling a disheveled, slightly plump elder with piercing eyes that locked onto Li Weiyi with battle intent. With just a brief glance, Li Weiyi instantly gauged Chen Song's strength, far superior to Yuan Sheng, even surpassing Chen Ying by a significant margin. Without hesitation, Li Weiyi activated his Nightwalker's garment, pushing his speed to its absolute limit. He fled into the forest to his right. Trying to escape. Chen Song's wind-riding boots, a pure speed-type mid-grade spiritual artifact, blurred his form as he rose into the air, chasing after Li Weiyi. At the same time, a jade bracelet spun off his wrist. The spiritual light energy erupting from the bracelet tore through the air, hurtling towards Li Weiyi's back. Li Weiyi didn't dare to meet the attack head-on. Instead, he turned and struck out with his Azure Yin banner. Boom! The spinning jade bracelet collided with the Yin banner, instantly changing direction and hurtling toward Li Weiyi's head. Li Weiyi broke out in a cold sweat. He unleashed his spirit treasure-seizing hand, transforming into a thousand-handed Tathagata to grasp the bracelet. But he couldn't hold on. It spun too rapidly, forcing him to hurl it away immediately. Boom! The jade bracelet slammed into the ground several yards away, sending soil flying and creating a large crater. Chen Song, who had been chasing Li Weiyi, was secretly shocked. He actually broke through a mid-grade spiritual artifact's attack like that. He immediately became fully alert, summoning his battle intent and spiritual chi clouds behind him. He unleashed a punch into the air. The fist shadow was as large as a millstone, and the surging spiritual chi resembled a tidal wave, crashing in layer after layer. Boom! Weiyi used the yin banner to meet Chen Song's blow head-on, sending his body flying backward. Then, he pushed his speed to its limit and fled. Whenever he encountered a surging spring realm martial mystic cultivator blocking his path in the forest, he didn't hesitate to charge through them, sending them flying with his body. Chen Song landed on the ground, his expression grim. He had never seen such a powerful first realm martial mystic cultivator in the 5 Seas realm. 4 other first realm martial mystic cultivators from the 5 Seas realm quickly arrived. The severely wounded deformed humanoid martial mystic cultivator said with deep apprehension, "What exactly is he? Is he truly only in the first realm of the 5 Seas realm? Without the fallen spirit skin, he's undoubtedly in the first realm. But his strength. To reach this level, he must be a seed of inheritance from the Zhuoqiu clan," Chen Song replied. He released a wisp of spiritual qi, retrieving the jade bracelet and refastening it around his wrist. The 4 martial mystic cultivators in the first realm of the 5 Seas realm exchanged horrified glances. A seed of inheritance held a higher status within the Zhuoqiu clan than even Zhuoqiu Beiming. If they let him escape down the mountain, what would happen? Let's go. We must pursue him together and eradicate the threat completely. If we're going to do this, we must do it thoroughly, Chen Song declared. How impressive, Chen Song. Truly worthy of his title as the 9 Springs Supreme, having opened the ancestral field through his own strength. Weiyi glanced at his bloodied left hand, pondering his next move. Ultimately, the Yin banner was merely a defensive high-grade spiritual artifact, lacking significant offensive power. But the black iron seal and evil camel bell were another matter entirely. They were more than capable of giving him a serious beating. In this mysterious and unknown realm of 33 Li Mountain, Weiyi didn't want to resort to a massacre. Otherwise, he would have unleashed his 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors long ago. Who knew what kind of dead spirit monsters might be stirred up by the commotion of a major battle? Getting away from that valley was his top priority. After fleeing for half an hour, Weiyi suddenly stopped, sensing something amiss. The landscape within the immortal mist clouds had drastically changed. The trees had thinned out, revealing a flat expanse of gravel, where dense patches of weeds grew between the stones, interspersed with clusters of glowing plants. It was crimson haze herb. And there were many of them, over a dozen visible within his field of vision alone. Weiyi's heart wasn't entirely filled with joy. He had a nagging feeling that something was off about this place. The concentration of rare herbs without any signs of harvesting spoke volumes. He released his 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors, instructing them to gather the crimson haze herbs. Meanwhile, he remained on high alert, vigilantly scanning his surroundings and keeping a wary eye out for Chen Song, who might be closing in. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors were delighted, flapping their wings and flying towards the gravel zone. To Weiyi's exasperation, each of them chose a plant and began eating on its own, showing no intention of helping him gather the rare medicine. Relying on you lot is completely useless. Stop stuffing your faces. The enemy could be on our heels at any moment. In the end, Weiyi had no choice but to cautiously gather the crimson haze herbs himself. After picking 24 herbs in a row, he unknowingly ventured deep into the gravel zone. As he reached for the 25th, he sensed something amiss. Slowly raising his head, he gazed into the depths of the mist, his scalp prickling with dread. There, in the fog some 30 meters away, stood a dense cluster of giant-headed stone figures, all motionless, as if watching him. Weiyi summoned his yin banner to bolster his courage. Wrapped in wisps of azure light, he slowly advanced. Only when he drew closer did he realize they were a collection of colossal stone statues. Phew. He exhaled a long breath and resumed gathering the remaining crimson haze herbs. Yet every time he turned his back on the stone figures, he felt a chill down his spine, as if countless eyes were peering at him. Some of the statues seemed to have shifted position, inching forward. Hallucinations. It's just an illusion. I am just scaring myself. Weiyi had barely finished speaking when over a dozen black, giant-headed humanoid figures suddenly burst from the stone forest of giant stone statues. Some were only a meter or 2 tall, perched atop the statues' heads, their mouths gaping wide like bowls, revealing rows of jagged, saw-like teeth as they emitted shrill, piercing laughter. Others stood 2 or 3 meters tall, their heads as large as water vats, their mouths occupying a third of their faces. Their eyes lacked whites, entirely black and constantly leaking wisps of black smoke. Weiyi had never seen such terrifying, unknown creatures. He turned and fled, but before he had run even 100 meters, 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors flew toward him in terror. Weiyi looked ahead. From the direction he had come, over a dozen more figures emerged from the mist. These figures had normal human proportions, but their bodies burned with ghost fire. They were clearly not Chen Song and the others, they lacked any trace of living human aura. Caught between enemies front and back, Weiyi felt like crying. It was all due to his greed. If he had known, he never would have lingered in this shattered stone region to gather the crimson haze herbs. How he wished it were the Sui sect and 3 Chen Palaces group coming, or even Heavenly Cliff Ridge and Guanshan's people. Weiyi's brow brightened. He channeled his spiritual light divine flame, ready to activate the Buddha's relic and escape into the blood mud space to temporarily avoid disaster. As the group of dead spirits, who looked like ordinary people, gradually approached, Weiyi could clearly see their clothing and features. Each had a pale face, young and old, male and female, with a bloody, bizarre character branded on their foreheads. It's the group from Burial Immortal Town. Weiyi recognized them. Back in Burial Immortal Town, he had cut his wrist and spilled his blood on the street, intending to summon his guardian wife. Instead, he awakened countless dead spirits from beneath the town, causing them to erupt from the earth. The dead spirits, who resembled the town's residents, were exactly as they appeared before him now, bodies wreathed in ghost fire, foreheads marked with bloody characters. How had they come to 33 Li Mountain? And they didn't seem hostile. As Weiyi stood in stunned confusion, more than a dozen dead spirit townsfolk had already passed him, their feet floating on ghost fire, and engaged in battle with the giant-headed humanoid monster that had been pursuing him. They could absorb immortal haze, their eyes devoid of pupils, radiating only blinding white light. With a wave of their hands, they unleashed ghost fire, and regardless of age or gender, each was incredibly powerful. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 101, 129, The Guardian Wife Speaks. 101st of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Boom. Countless luminous characters erupted from the crimson inscriptions on the foreheads of the dead spirit town residents, attacking the giant-headed unknown creature. Weiyi quickly retreated, unfurling his yin banner and pouring in a steady stream of spiritual qi. He hid behind the azure light curtain, watching the battle unfold. He desperately wanted to seize this opportunity to escape, but his cursed curiosity held him rooted to the spot. His legs simply refused to move. These dead spirit town residents from Burial Immortal Town were too strange. They seemed to possess a unique consciousness, and their appearance in 33 Li Mountain was undoubtedly extraordinary. Most importantly, Weiyi wasn't sure if their awakening and the strange events in Burial Immortal Town were connected to the blood he had spilled that day. He wanted to unravel the mystery, to understand the truth behind his own origins. Judging by their aura, they've grown significantly stronger since they first awakened, Weiyi observed, carefully studying the dead spirit town residents and the giant-headed unknown creature's techniques. He was gathering experience, learning what to watch out for and how to respond if he encountered them again. The 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors were terrified, burrowing into his collar and trembling. After a moment, curiosity overcame their fear, and they cautiously poked out their heads one by one. 7 heads stacked together, they gazed at the battlefield where ghostfire danced. The giant-headed unknown creature had been defeated and fled into the giant stone statue forest. One by one, the dead spirit town residents, enveloped in ghostfire, retracted their textual light and shadow projections. They formed a neat, orderly line and marched slowly toward the immortal mist clouds shrouding the forest. They weren't pursuing the creature. Instead, it seemed as though they were following some preordained purpose, and encountering Weiyi and the giant-headed unknown creature had been merely an accident. Silence fell over the area. Weiyi's tense muscles and nerves relaxed. He was about to leave this eerie place when a melodious female voice suddenly rang out, "Follow them." "Who's there?" Startled, he immediately drew his iron book and scanned his surroundings. "Follow them. Follow them." The voice drifted near and far. When distant, it seemed to come from the horizon, or another dimension entirely, as faint as the wind. When close, it whispered in his ear like a murmur. Sha. Blood misted from Weiyi's injured left hand, swirling around him. Before him, a shallow red blood mist world materialized, a desolate, weed-choked wasteland of broken stones, rapidly decaying and festering with a chilling, yin energy. A slender figure in a magnificent red wedding gown suddenly appeared in the blood mist, standing silently. Weiyi knew exactly who she was. His eyelids narrowed, his heart pounded, and for the first time, he truly examined the guardian wife Zhenhai Guanwu had spoken of. Her wedding gown was exceptionally ornate. The chest was embroidered with a golden dragon and phoenix motif in gold and silver thread, the sleeves were adorned with lotus patterns, and the skirt was vast, trailing behind her like a long phoenix wing spread across the ground. Copper coins hung from the 4 corners of her red silk veil, obscuring her face, but he could see her slender, jade-like neck and strands of her hair. Only now did Weiyi truly believe she was real. His mind reeling with shock and uncertainty, he asked, "Who are you? Are you truly residing in my bloodline?" She didn't respond, as if she couldn't hear him. "Follow them." The melodious voice came from her, but it didn't seem to originate from her mouth. Instead, it resonated from the surrounding space. Li Weiyi cautiously asked, "Why should I follow them? Do you even know who they are?" "Follow them." The same emotionless voice repeated. "Is that all you can say?" Li Weiyi frowned deeply and slowly stepped forward, intending to lift the veil covering her head and see her true appearance. But as his hand reached out, a chilling aura swept over him. His wrist was seized by the guardian wife's icy jade hand, stopping him. "Follow them." These three words seemed to come from her mouth, crystal clear and close. "Can't I look?" Li Weiyi channeled his spiritual power into his arm, but no matter how much strength he unleashed, he couldn't resist her. Her hand was exquisite, each finger long and slender, neither too plump nor too thin, like carved from immortal crystal and divine jade. Yet with just a gentle touch on Li Weiyi's wrist, it froze his arm midair, preventing him from reaching the red silk veil. "If I can't look, then I won't look." Li Weiyi had no obsession, only a desire to understand what the guardian wife truly was. He slowly retracted his hand, and her fingers loosened their grip. Her fingers were cold, undeniably real. In his chest, the 7 phoenix-winged moth emperors stared wide-eyed. Initially filled with anticipation, they now slumped in disappointment. She kept urging him to follow, and Li Weiyi, eager to uncover the truth, grasped the azure yin banner and hurried after the dead spirit town residents who had already entered the giant stone statue forest. He cautiously scanned his surroundings, wary of an attack from the giant-headed unknown creature. The guardian wife followed close behind, her bridal gown's train trailing on the ground, stretching over 10 feet long. She possessed an extraordinary aura. Her head was held high, a jade belt cinched her waist, one hand clasped behind her back, the other forming a finger seal held before her chest, her entire form enveloped in a crimson mist. With each step she took, the copper coins dangling from the 4 corners of her veil clinked softly. "Spirit Tablet Master, did you see? This is the guardian wife Zhenhai Guanwu once spoke of. Can you discern her origins?" Li Weiyi communicated through psychic power. Within the blood-mud space, the 3 masters were engaged in a heated discussion, all stunned by the bizarre circumstances surrounding Li Weiyi. The guardian wife's existence defied even their understanding. Behind him, the guardian wife pointed her index finger forward, forming a finger seal. Whoosh! A streak of blood-red light pierced through Li Weiyi's body and struck the Buddha's relic on the Tao ancestors' Tai Chi fish. A moment later, the Spirit Tablet Master's terrified voice rang out, "Weiyi, you'll have to handle this yourself. We just received a warning and aren't even allowed to discuss it. We nearly lost our souls." Li Weiyi gasped, unable to resist glancing back. That domineering. Footsteps and eerie cries continued to echo from the distant mist, but none drew closer. They walked for nearly half an hour. In the giant stone statue forest, a winding stone staircase ancient path emerged, leading upward. The dead spirit town residents followed the staircase, ascending step by step. Li Weiyi noticed something peculiar. Their footsteps were perfectly synchronized, each person stepping precisely in the footprints of the one ahead. He dared not deviate, so he followed their lead, stepping in their footprints as well. With each step, he dropped a coin to mark the spot. His countless coin pouches were overflowing with all kinds of currency. Giant stone statues, large and small, lined both sides of the staircase, appearing eerily unsettling in the dense mist. Some of the statues were shattered, revealing thick stone shells that had once contained something within. "It's so quiet here. It doesn't seem that scary at all." After cautiously walking for a while, Li Weiyi, to test his suspicions, flicked a copper coin onto the ground to the right of the stone steps. The coin landed. Whoosh! Where it struck, a brilliant profound yellow light erupted. Countless intricate and ancient incantations, runes, and formation glyphs simultaneously materialized on the ground and in midair, unleashing destructive energies like thunder and lightning and heavenly fire. All the giant stone statues began to shake violently. In the void, visions of palaces, floating islands, giant stone carvings, a realm between reality and illusion, appeared. The dead spirit town residents walking ahead immediately stopped. Li Weiyi could sense the terrifying power of the incantations, runes, formation glyphs, thunder and lightning, and heavenly fire. Being struck by any of them would surely reduce him to ashes. He stood frozen, holding his breath, not daring to move even a finger. He could only swivel his eyeballs to observe the ethereal scenes in the void, which felt as real as if they were actually there. About 15 minutes later, the profound yellow light subsided, and all the incantations, energies, and unknown visions vanished into the air. A single copper coin had nearly caused a catastrophe. It was clear that this place could only be entered safely by following a specific route. The dead spirit town residents continued forward, while Li Weiyi obediently resumed placing coins to mark the path. After an unknown amount of time and climbing an unknown number of miles up the mountain, they finally reached the end of the stone steps. Before them lay a dense sea of white bones, stretching as far as the eye could see. Li Weiyi was stunned, unable to believe his eyes. He couldn't be sure if he was still on 33 Li Mountain. The bone sea was too vast, like an independent world. The white bones piled on the ground were understandable, but even in the empty space on either side, layer upon layer of bones stretched upward, as if they could reach the stars. Some of these bones belonged to creatures he couldn't even identify, as massive as mountain ranges. Other skeletons had multiple heads and stretched for hundreds of meters. Hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions, of human skeletons were piled atop them, like dust or the bones of ants. Though immortal haze washed over this place, it felt like the entrance to hell, too terrifying. Even Dao Seed Realm or Immortal Realm experts would likely turn and flee in terror. Weiyi struggled to maintain his composure, glancing back at his guardian wife. "Follow them," she said, her voice steady once more. Following the dead spirit town residents into the Bone Sea, the space grew increasingly vast. From the deepest depths, a crimson light emanated. The stone steps turned downward, leading into a cavernous bone sea that resembled both a cave and a vast plain. Weiyi looked down at the blood-red light, which seemed to be a crescent-shaped lake of blood. From dozens of miles away, he could see a massive, gray-white skull at the lake's edge. It was smooth and bare, estimated to be several thousand meters tall. The skull's mouth was enormous, filled with sharp, fang-like teeth, and black mist swirled from its bone seams. Descending the stone steps, Weiyi entered the Bone Sea Plain. The dead spirit town residents, no longer cautious, dispersed in different directions. Weiyi didn't follow them. Instead, he headed toward the distant crescent-shaped blood lake. In that direction, he had seen a four-colored rainbow glow, much like the radiance emitted by immortal soil. Immortal soil was a treasure worth 1,000,000 silver per ounce, unmatched by almost any other treasure in the world. Glancing back, he saw his guardian wife still following him. She seemed confident, radiating an aura of fearless strength. Weiyi's wariness diminished, and he quickened his pace. Whoosh! As they neared the crescent-shaped blood lake, his guardian wife surpassed him, transforming into a graceful crimson shadow that swept past him. Reaching the lake's edge, Weiyi truly grasped its vastness. As wide as an ocean, it churned with waves of blood, its thick, metallic scent making him deeply uncomfortable. Blank. End of chapter. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 2. Julie Insect Valley. Chapter 102-130 Encountering Xuanhuan in Yingzhou. 102nd of Volume 2. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The vast lake stretched endlessly, its surface shrouded in crimson mist, the opposite shore invisible. The guardian wife stood at the water's edge, her feet planted on the tri-colored spiritual soil. The jade hand at her chest, fingers forming a seal, altered its pattern. Instantly, the crimson blood chi in the lake, like gauze or mist, began to converge towards her in wisps. Weiyi watched her intently, his mind racing. This blood chi must possess some unfathomable power. Who could have laid such a trap here? If the guardian wife only needed blood chi, she would surely have appeared to collect it on many previous occasions. And wouldn't the blood chi at the blood sea's edge be even more potent? This crescent-shaped blood lake in the vast bone sea must hold some secret. But his cultivation was still too weak to see through it. Weiyi sensed the lake's danger and dared not approach. Instead, he released his spiritual chi, intending to sweep some back for his masters to examine and study. However, as soon as his spiritual chi neared the bloody water, it dissolved within, losing all connection. Next, he retrieved a low-grade spiritual artifact, wrapped it in spiritual chi, and extended it towards the lake. Splash! A wave surged forward, crashing against the spiritual artifact. The artifact instantly corroded into black, lifeless iron. Weiyi's heart sank. This bloody water was absolutely untouchable. He feared that if it touched him, his flesh would dissolve, becoming another bone among the countless skeletons scattered here. Weiyi dared not act rashly. Instead, he turned to excavating the spiritual soil, searching for immortal soil. He had risked his life to come here, he couldn't leave empty-handed. The entire area around the lake was covered in three-colored spiritual soil. Weiyi used his iron book to dig furiously, constantly filling his blood-mud space with it, intending to plant medicinal herbs there later. After digging over a meter deep, a four-colored radiance began to emanate from the earth below. Weiyi was overjoyed, knowing he had struck immortal soil. He immediately reached out to scoop it up with his hands. But the moment his fingers touched the immortal soil, it seemed to awaken some forbidden taboo. A shrill storm erupted above the blood lake, sending waves soaring several meters high and crashing toward him. The ground trembled, and the water roared. Weiyi felt a terrifying pressure bearing down on him. He saw a crimson wave, like a liquid wall, climb onto the shore and surge toward him. Swish! A graceful red figure flashed into view. The guardian wife appeared before the wave, forming a hand seal and blasting it back with a thunderous force. Weiyi, who had already retreated 10 meters away, was stunned to see her display such power. He immediately turned back and, with lightning speed, dug up a large pile of immortal soil, repeatedly stuffing it into his blood-mud space. Then, he quickly retreated to a safe distance. After the guardian wife repelled the crimson wave 8 times, the lake's surface finally calmed. She turned to face Li Weiyi, her expression hidden from view. Li Weiyi met her gaze with a calm expression. What joke is this? You insisted on coming along. Now you're there absorbing blood qi, and I'm risking my life for nothing. A moment later, the guardian wife returned to the lakeside, formed a finger seal, and began absorbing blood qi again. More than 10 miles away, beneath the skull-like mountain, Zhenhai Guanwu, also clad in red robes, sat in meditation by the lake. With each breath, she drew strands of blood qi from the water. Flesh had regrown on her body, her skin as white as porcelain, but a blood mist shrouded her, obscuring her features. Sensing movement in the distance, Zhenhai Guanwu abruptly opened her eyes. Her red lips parted, and she whispered, "They're coming." Li Ling, who was digging for spiritual soil, stopped and asked, "Who?" "Let's go. I've temporarily forged a physical body and can continue on the path of cultivation as I once did. There's no need to confront him now. The time isn't right." Zhenhai Guanwu's eyes were deep and profound. She rose to her feet, her tall figure appearing remarkably young through the mist, as if she were only 18 or 19. Her long, black hair was loosely tied back with a ribbon. Her gaze pierced through layers of blood mist, reaching the center of the blood lake in the colorful island. She murmured to herself, what kind of supreme being could have laid out such a scheme here, using an island crafted from 5-colored divine mud? Since he was only digging for spiritual soil and wouldn't disturb the blood lake, Li Weiyi didn't hesitate. This stuff was incredibly valuable, and he knew many people would want to buy it. After half a day, Li Weiyi had dug up countless pounds of spiritual soil and gradually lost interest. Exhausted, he sat down to rest. This place is so extraordinary, yet I'm reduced to digging up the most ordinary dirt. Would she laugh at me? Li Weiyi chuckled self-deprecatingly and shook his head. He stood up, intending to explore the lake's edge. After walking 6 or 7 miles, he came across a large number of coffins scattered haphazardly along the shore. Among them was a particularly massive and unique one, crafted from pure silver and radiating a silver glow from within. It was this coffin that had drawn Li Weiyi's attention, prompting him to investigate further rather than avoid it. It really is the otherworldly coffin from Burial Immortal Town. Did the dead spirit town residents carry it here? Approaching the coffin, Li Weiyi leapt into the air and peered inside. He saw the skeletal remains of a silver giant, over 11 meters long. Starlight seemed to flow within the bones, their brilliance blinding. A heart of stars, bones of silver. Unsure of the skeleton's true value, Li Weiyi sent a mental message to his spirit tablet master. Master, have you ever heard of the silver-boned celestial race or the immortal star? The origin of the silver giant's skeleton had first been mentioned by Fang Tong of the Earth Wolf King's army. After a few breaths, spirit tablet master's cautious voice echoed, Master Coffin says this matter is of great importance. He wants to come out and examine it himself. Li Weiyi realized the skeleton might truly be extraordinary. He activated the spiritual light divine flame in his third eye and summoned Master Coffin and Spirit Tablet Master. Whoosh! Whoosh! Faint, ethereal figures materialized from the coffin and the spirit tablet, a man and a woman, and slowly approached the silver giant's coffin. They studied it intently, whispering to each other as they examined it. Nurtured by the Shaoyang star, the two masters' remnant souls had grown considerably stronger. Li Weiyi remained vigilant, secretly observing the other coffins. The coffins here were all quite unusual, with bizarre shapes and some already decayed and broken. He wondered if they had all been brought here by the dead spirits of Burial Immortal Town. A gust of cold wind swept through, causing the coffin boards to creak ominously. At the center of this coffin graveyard, the ground had turned to sand, forming a vast expanse of white, fine sand hundreds of meters long and wide. At the center of the desertification zone stood a solitary temple. Its gate faced the blood lake, obscuring the interior from view. Li Weiyi slowly approached, step by step. At the edge of the desertification zone, he spotted a stone tablet inscribed with text. The scriptures looked familiar, yet he couldn't decipher a single character. Behind him, Spirit Tablet Master's voice rang out, be careful. This desertified ground feels strange. The aura of death is thick, as if it forbids all living beings from existing here. Master Coffin stared at the tablet, chanting, Yingzhou meets Xuanhuan, buried together at the Blood Moon Spring. This is the god of the Juli's scriptures, the words left behind by the old master. Master Coffin's voice trembled with excitement. He gazed at the solitary temple at the center of the desertification zone, then knelt and kowtowed. Both his and Spirit Tablet Master's soul forms were incredibly faint, their features blurred beyond recognition, as if a gust of wind could scatter them. No wonder it felt familiar. The scriptures on the tablet was the same as the one used for the words, Julie Insect Valley. Li Weiyi was even more agitated. Are these two lines the content inscribed on the tablet? Master Coffin nodded deeply, his voice filled with confusion as he murmured to himself, if the god of the Julie is buried here, then who is buried in the Julie Divine Mountain? Or is it someone else entirely? He was about to rush into the sandy area when Spirit Tablet Master firmly held him back. Li Weiyi was equally stunned and bewildered. The names, Xuanhuan, and Yingzhou, were universally known throughout Wuxia, China. When discussing ancient Wuxia Chinese mythology and history, the name, Xuanhuan, was unavoidable. And records of Yingzhou were countless. Records of the 10 continents listed it alongside Zhuzhou, Yenzhou, Fenglinzhou, Zhukuzhou, Luzhou, and others as one of the 10 continents beyond the sea. Li Weiyi absorbed his shock and tried to reassure Master Coffin, it's just a single temple. The god of the Zhuli probably isn't truly buried there. Perhaps it's just a clay effigy or a symbolic burial of clothing and regalia. Master Coffin gradually calmed down, still gazing into the distance. He shook his head. No, that's not a real temple. It's a steel temple. The fact that this place is turning to sand means something significant is at play here. Li Weiyi desperately wanted to toss a copper coin into the blood lake to test its depths, but remembering the previous incident, he immediately abandoned the idea. If the god of the Zhuli is truly buried here, they certainly wouldn't want to be disturbed. When I achieve immortal realm in the future, we can return to investigate further. Indeed, it's far too dangerous. Master Coffin nodded, suppressing his own obsession. He reluctantly turned away, pointing at the massive silver coffin. Weiyi, store it in the blood mud space. It will be invaluable later. Li Weiyi had been eager to do so already. The silver coffin itself was of immense value. Master Coffin and Spirit Tablet Master gazed at the boundless blood lake ahead, their eyes filled with caution. They dared not recklessly absorb the blood chi like the guardian wife had. After sending his 2 masters into the blood mud space, Li Weiyi approached the silver coffin. Rustle. The moment he activated the Buddha's relic's spatial power, a chilling gust of wind swept across the distant sand-covered area. Li Weiyi felt as if he had fallen into an icy abyss, his body trembling violently. As the spatial ripples dissipated, the silver coffin vanished from its place. This eerie wind is so strange. Li Weiyi felt as though he had glimpsed shadows just now. He scanned his surroundings, finding only coffins, and his heart chilled. He immediately fled the area, turning back the way he had come. Seeing his guardian wife again brought some peace of mind. He should be safe from any unclean entities. Forget it. I won't investigate further for now. Li Weiyi sat cross-legged by the lake, took out the golden spring, and prepared to use this time to refine his golden meridian vein and break through to the 5 seas realm. One day later, Li Weiyi burst out of the bone sea and raced down the stone steps, fleeing the mountain as fast as he could. It wasn't because he had encountered any danger. Rather, it was his guardian wife, who after seemingly absorbing enough of the blood mist, had mysteriously vanished. No matter what methods Li Weiyi tried, he couldn't summon her again. With her gone, Li Weiyi didn't dare stay in that haunted place alone. It had been her insistence on coming in the first place. Now that he had a chance to leave early, he didn't want to waste a single moment more. He descended the mountain at breakneck speed, practically running. Along the way, he only retrieved his Yongquan spring coins and silver coins, leaving all the copper coins scattered on the stone steps. Entering the giant stone statue forest, Li Weiyi retraced his steps, pushing his sight, hearing, and smell to their limits. He activated the Nightwalker's garment's stealth and speed abilities, fearing another encounter with the giant-headed humanoid monster. Suddenly, at the edge of the giant stone statue forest, he heard familiar voices. Sniffing intently, he recognized the scents of Xuanhuan Beiming and Xuanhuan Lanlan. They hadn't died at Shui Qi's hands. And they'd escaped here. Li Weiyi confirmed there were no giant-headed humanoid monster scents nearby before cautiously approaching. As he drew near, a blinding sword light flashed out from behind a giant stone statue, forcing Li Weiyi to sweep it aside with his sleeve. It's me, Sima Qin. Xuanhuan Lanlan, recognizing the newcomer as Sima Qin, quickly sheathed her sword. Her expression instantly shifted from fury to joy, then to astonishment. How are you still alive? How did you find us here? Li Weiyi turned to Xuanhuan Beiming, who was sitting on the ground. He saw that one of his legs had been severed, and his face was ashen, deathly pale. Where's Brother Tian? He asked. Xuanhuan Lanlan, both terrified and deeply anguished, trembled slightly. Her eyes were swollen and red, tears streaming down her cheeks. They killed him. Ran tore open his throat and ate his flesh. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.